Hi, I'm Erin here at beautiful Tomahawk Intermediate. Join me as we meet some of the teachers at the Home of the Indians on this very first edition of Be the Difference, West Virginia. We're here with Heather McCain in the 5th grade. Hi Heather, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm married. I have 3 children. I have 2 sons. Both are in the military. One is in the Air Force and the other is in the Army. My son that's in the Air Force is a flight medic, and my son that is in the Army is a police officer. My daughter just started college this year, so
You're pretty busy.
I'm pretty busy, yes.
So what made you decide to become a teacher?
I think it's something that I just always wanted to do. And being a stay-at-home mom, raising my own children, once they got through the early part of elementary school, I realized that I wanted to go back to school, and I wanted to continue to teach because I was teaching them at home, and I wanted to make that a career.
So you weren't the traditional college student. You decided later on that you wanted to go back and become a teacher.
Yes.
Was that more difficult that you think than starting out with it, or how was that different than, for say, if you were to go into teaching right out of when you're young?
Well, I think it was more difficult in the aspect of having to juggle family and school myself at the same time. But I think it gave me some insight as a teacher once I started, because I had my own children and could relate to parents and could also relate to some of the struggles that students were having, because I had been through the same thing with my children.
What is something that you enjoy about teaching?
I really enjoy being able to be there when a child who is struggling understands what they're learning. When that light bulb goes off, I really enjoy that moment. So I would say that is the most enjoyable thing to be
Is there a particular subject right now in your class that your students are really into, or something you really enjoy teaching them in particular?
Yes, in science, we just finished learning about photosynthesis, and they completed a really interesting lab where they put a plant in a test tube and got to see the process of photosynthesis by putting the test tube in the sunlight and watch the plant use the carbon dioxide in the water to create the oxygen. So they actually got to see the bubbles and watch the water turn back to blue, to its original state. And they were really excited about that, and that was fun for me as a teacher to watch their excitement.
If there was something that you could share with the public that you wish people understood about what it's like to be a teacher, what would you say?
I would say that teaching is more than just what goes on in the classroom. Our job, there's a lot that we do outside of school to prepare for what we do in the classroom. So I think that would be one thing that I would want the public to know, that as teachers, we spend a lot of time at home preparing to make learning excitable and fun for our students, and it takes up a lot of our time.
We're here in Miss Lear's 3rd grade classroom. This is Kaitlyn Lear. Hi, Kaitlyn.
Hi, Erin.
Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I moved here 5 years ago. I went to Oakland Catholic High School, which is right down the street from the University of Pittsburgh. So it's really neat getting to be in that atmosphere as a high school student. I went to Clarion University of Pennsylvania, so it's about an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh, where our previous principal, Mr. Spatero, also went. and I had a great experience there and ended up in Berkeley County.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your family.
I have a 1-year-old little boy named Cole who is just the light of my life. I can't remember a time without him, which is incredible. I have an older sister who is an industrial engineer. She went to WVU. And my youngest sister is in medical school right now at West Virginia University. My mother was a stay-at-home mom and is absolutely incredible, wonderful grandma. And my father was also a teacher.
What did he teach?
He taught physics, high school physics. Wow. Yes. So being in the classroom from a very young age, I remember going to school with him multiple times, and I just fell in love with it.
So would you say that's one of the reasons why you decided to be a teacher?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting to see the interaction, and I understood that from a young age, what a teacher was, and seeing his students there. And I'd go home and I was the child who asked to have a chalkboard for Christmas and would come home from school every day and play school, and in the summer would convince my friends to come and play school with me. That is definitely one thing that convinced me to be a teacher.
So what are some things that you enjoy about teaching?
I love every day getting my students excited about learning. I had a substitute the other day and said usually when students come in they're, oh hi, but your kids came in and they were good morning and excited for the day. And I love, as a teacher, being able to be the first person to teach them something new and helping them to understand it and get it, and watching them then independently take on that responsibility of learning and using what you have taught them. I think that's amazing.
So what's one of your favorite things to teach, or what's something that you do in your classroom that your students really enjoy?
I think one important thing that I do every day, reading is extremely important in my classroom, and I give them independent reading time, and they get to find a spot in the room, if it's under their desk, if it's in our library area, and they pick the material that they want to read for the day. They're using the strategies that we've learned together, but they get to pick what they are reading, and I think that's very powerful as a reader. So I love doing that, and they always enjoy it. But one of my favorite things, I love social studies. And when we teach the process of elections, it's really hard for them sometimes. There's a lot of vocabulary with that can be difficult for a third grader. So we do talk about Democrats and Republicans and primary election and general election. But instead of having the parties that we know, we do the chocolate candy party. And we have different chocolate bars that are the candidates, and we have the chewy candy party that are, Starburst or Skittles, and they have an actual application that they fill out, voter registration, and then we have our primary election, and we do a campaign, and they really can explain the process of an election there, and they enjoy it.
That's neat.
That's fun.
So if there was one thing that you wish people understood about teaching, what it means to be a teacher, what would that be?
I think that I would love for people to understand that when I'm doing my job correctly, I'm giving absolutely everything that I can to it. I'm not just here from 8 o'clock in the morning till, when the bell rings. I go home at night, excuse me, I'm with my son, and then as soon as he goes to bed, I'm back at it with schoolwork. I put everything, and I think that a lot of us here at Tomahawk and in the county and in our country, if we're doing our jobs right, we are giving absolutely everything that we can. And I would hope that people would be more aware of that. Sometimes you hear, oh, you have an easy job. My job is not easy if I'm doing it correctly. I'm, always researching. I'm going home and thinking about my students and, how I can help them more.
That's all for this edition of Be the Difference, West Virginia. Join me next time when we learn about more teachers here in the beautiful Eastern Panhandle. Until then, I'm Erin reminding you to be different, but more importantly, be the difference. I'll see you soon.